May I have your attention, please? Just for a moment. This is the Hasta Lasagna Don't Get Any On Your podcast. And today, we are covering a movie again. We're back again covering a movie. I'm your host, David Daniel, and I'm joined by returning special guest, Mr. Jones, who I'll only be referring to as Mr. Jones. I'm currently suing him in federal law. In federal court.
No bingo allowed.
So, please introduce yourself. Say a bit about yourself.
I'm Bingo Jones. I'm the biggest Lord of the Rings fan there has ever been.
Wow.
And I will die on that.
That is a wild statement.
I don't know if that's actually true. I do love a bit of Lord of the Rings, though.
You've been to Lord of the Rings.
Ring.
You've been there.
I've been there. I have been to the Shire, that's true. And I wish I could go back every day.
Anyway, the movie we're covering today is The Lord of the Rings from 1978, directed by Ralph Bakshi. Why don't you tell us what the story was, Mr. Jones?
Yeah, okay. The story is Lord of the Rings. I don't know if you've ever seen it or heard of it, but that's what the story was. It was basically like the first book and then the second book in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, definitely.
Was pretty much how they spaced that out. And then just like third book, don't have to worry about that.
We'll get into that. We'll get into all of that in the trivia section.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for giving us the rundown of the story.
That's all right. Did you want me to go into like, so there's a guy called Frodo and he's in the Shire, or I feel like people will know, surely.
Sure. Let's assume that everyone has watched Lord of the Rings. Well, I guess...
I don't know a universe where they wouldn't have done. Everyone's watched it.
Everyone's watched it. I saw all three of them in the cinema in one day.
You did?
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that.
They were the extended cuts. It was
one
of the...
Which is like 13 hours or something ridiculous.
It was one of the best days of my life.
Was it?
It was. I loved it.
You looked like an empty husk by the end of it.
I was cleaned out. Someone had put a spoon, they cleaned out my brain.
Scooped it all out of there. Because I joined you for one of them.
You did.
And I remember I kept like trying to make jokes and stuff, and every time you just look at me with like the most soulless expression.
I was pretty cooked by the end of it.
Yeah.
You were what's the word? You ambushed me in McDonald's. I was eating my McDonald's,
I did.
having my dinner, my half an hour break between each movie. And I turned to my left and I saw you there. Because you said you weren't going to turn up, and then you did turn up.
Well, I said I might do, because it was straight after work or something.
Yeah, it was straight after work. And you were working the next day as well.
I was, yeah. So thank God I didn't do the full 12 hours. That would have...
would have cleaned you out. It would have scooped out your brain.
Yeah, I'd never have recovered, I don't think. I'm quite impressed you did that. Although I watched two of them on the plane to New Zealand because I thought that would be thematic, you know?
Did it work? Was it good? How was the plane experience?
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah, I would think so.
Because I was watching it on my tiny little phone screen.
Well, on your phone?
My headphones weren't loud enough because obviously planes are like deafening loud. And it was 13 hours. And then the next day, another 13 hours. It was like, yeah.
But you got through the first two movies.
Yeah, and then the last one on the way back.
So you completed it though. Even if it wasn't the best experience.
No. I mean,
like...
to be honest, I think it made the whole experience slightly better, marginally better.
Okay. Because
you know,
you were Lord of the Rings.
I wasn't on a plane anymore. I was in the Shire.
You were in the Shire.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the thoughts and opinions section of the show.
Wow.
Let's talk about some of our opinions. What did you think of the movie?
I was very disappointed. I was so excited. I was thinking, like, Lord of the Rings but animated? How could they fuck this up? Like even if it's bad, the idea of high fantasy Lord of the Rings and it's animated, like, there's no way it can't be charming. At least it would be charming. But somehow they missed that as well. Like, it's not even charming.
God, it was so dull.
I don't know. It was so dull. How was it longer than the actual Lord of the Rings movies? Like, I know it was like an hour shorter or whatever, but it felt so much longer.
I was like...
Crazy.
It was like, I was like, so this is the Lord of the Rings. It takes us an hour and 25 minutes for us to finish Fellowship.
Yeah.
I was like, how are we going to get the last two movies in here? We've only got 48 minutes left.
I think they had the same realization when they were making the movie. And just thought, oh, fuck it, we'll just do what we can. But, yeah, I think it really made me think how much actually goes into making a good movie. Because there are so many aspects there of what could have been a great movie. Like, great source material, animation, so, like, you can't not love it. And, I don't know, it still seemed to go very poorly.
I don't like to be disparaging about movies. Because a lot of people go into making a movie and it takes a lot of effort. But
yeah,
I found the animation to be so lifeless and repetitive.
Yeah.
I hated the way the
totally
orcs
agree.
looked. All of the fighting scenes were so dull.
Yeah. Yeah, I got
thought-
so bored every time they started fighting. And, like, obviously it's got that classic, like 70s fight scene music of, like, wah, 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 like a whole fucking orchestra going on. It's just, like, so not it.
The Battle of Helm's Deep was incredibly disappointing.
Yeah, so disappointing.
You didn't get Legolas surfing on a board down some stairs?
No. And yeah, there was so much just sort of like heart and just, I don't know, there was a lot of charm in the Peter Jackson ones, and I was kind of expecting a bit of that, but
you can definitely see he watched this movie and sort of learned some of the lessons from it.
Yeah, exactly. Because if beat for beat, it's very similar story wise, but somehow this story seems like it just sort of happens and there's no soul behind it. Whereas Peter Jackson ones, obviously, it's very, you can really get behind the story. It makes a lot of sense emotionally, you know. Whereas this one, it just feels like everything's happening. You know, it's like they had to hit these story beats, and that's all they really cared about.
Yeah, I'll say some stuff that I liked.
Yes, okay.
The scene in the inn, I thought the animation for the other people looked really good. It looked realistic movements and expressions.
I think that's because it was.
I think it was. It was rotoscoped.
Yeah, it was rotoscope.
It was real people.
Really threw me off. But I kind of liked it, how they were like interspersing rotoscope just randomly.
Yeah, apart from when they did the fighting scenes, because that was rotoscoped.
Yes,
but
that was bad.
That was bad. It was dark, and it was just the same thing happening over and over again with no sort of energy or life to the movement of the camera. It was sort of just like still shots of like horses riding and like people running with swords. It's like great.
Yeah, not great.
I love the animation of Gollum. I loved how he's a dirty little grub.
His animation was great.
I thought he looked great.
Insane. That casting for his voice was so weird. It was just like a guy.
It was just
got like a guy.
He just sounded like one of the hobbits. He sounded like Sam or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're telling me this person who's dwelled in a cave for 200 years just sounds like a regular dude. Rather silly.
And so I guess this movie just kind of ends abruptly. We don't finish the trilogy.
It does.
Is there a second movie? Well, they never made a second part, but Rankin and Bass made an animated Return of the King that's sometimes marketed as a follow-up, but is unrelated. It's actually set in the same continuity as the animated Hobbit movie.
Wait, so they did animated Hobbit, skipped the Lord of the Rings, went straight to Return of the King.
Yeah, it's weird. Apparently that one's better. The animation actually looks interesting.
Oh, maybe we should have watched that.
You can't find it anywhere. I would have done The Hobbit with you, but I couldn't find it anywhere. It looked better.
Yeah.
I really like the animation for Bilbo. He's got like this massive nose. His face is mostly nose.
Yeah.
It looks pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Anyway.
I wish I had nose, that'd be sick.
Hey, it's Tom Bombadil Corner, where Mr. Jones tells us a bit about Tom Bombadil.
You want me to tell you about Tom Bombadil?
Yes,
he wasn't
please.
In this one.
He wasn't even in it.
He wasn't even in it. He's never in anything. Tom Bombadil is my favourite Lord of the Rings character. And he's just a random goofy guy in a big hat. That's literally it.
Is that all you have to say about Tom Bombadil?
I actually have not read the Tales of Tom Bombadil. I probably should, given love of Tom Bombadil. But like they offer him the ring, and he's just like, nah, I don't want it.
That's great.
I just think it's so cool.
Have you read the Silmarillion? Have you read the Silmarillion?
The Silmarillion. The Silmarillion. I have not. No, because apparently it's just like a textbook.
Oh, I see. It's like Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. J.K. Rowling book she wrote.
Is that an actual book?
It is an actual book. It's set in the universe. It's about all the beasts and where to find them. Guess what? They're in the case. Yeah. Have you seen the movie? They're in the case. All right?
They're in the... I know exactly where those beasts are.
They're in the case. It's a different segment now we're into. It's called, hey, it's the How Do You Like Them Apples segment of the show. The segment where we talk about the apples we've ate recently and what we thought of them.
Okay.
You go first, please.
I ate a bag of apples yesterday.
A whole bag of apples, one sitting.
Not in one sitting. Throughout the day.
Tell us about how you eat apples.
From the top down, the whole thing.
You even eat the little stick.
No, I don't eat the stick. I'm not a bloody barbarian. Are you kidding me? Of course I don't eat the stick.
What kind of apples were they?
Say again?
What kind of apples were they?
The red kind.
Gosh.
I don't know apple types. I just look for which ones look tasty and then I buy those.
I'm a Granny Smith guy. I love Granny Smiths.
You would be.
Anyway, moving on to a different segment of the show. It's called Lord of the Trivia, where we talk about the trivia of the movie.
Okay.
Alright, this had a budget of $4 million and grossed $30.5 million at the North American box office.
See, that means nothing to me, because that sounds like so much money, but I'm sure with movies that's a very small amount.
See, this was good for the time, because they broke even. So for a movie, usually double the budget, and if you double the budget in box office, then you've done well, because because half of it there's the movie, how much the movie cost, and there's marketing. So you just double it, and then you'll break even. Is the hope. So this made like 5 times its budget. So pretty good.
I guess parents will take their kids to see anything, won't they, if it's animated?
Yeah.
That's kind of awesome.
This was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Original Score in 1979.
For the score?
For the boring score.
There's just droning, boring score.
Gosh.
That's crazy. Can I revoke that?
You revoke it?
I'm going to revoke that.
You know what? I'll allow it.
That's the wrong word. Retrospectively revoke the Golden Globe.
Timothy Burton was incorrectly identified as an animator on the movie. However, Ralph Bakshi clarified that Burton only cleaned the dust off animation cells and did not animate any sequences in the film.
That is so fun. Oh my god. I completely forgot that. Was this like hand animated then? With like hands? They drew it?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And a lot of it was rotoscoped.
I always forget old animation was like
So hard.
so hard. I feel bad now for ragging on this movie.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
Hopefully no one alive from the movie sees this.
Yeah, hopefully.
Anyway, well, we respect the film for the effort that they made.
Yeah, I respect the effort they made, and like you can tell they loved the source material. I don't know. Can you? Maybe. I don't know.
This was predominantly filmed with live actors in black and white rotoscoped, each animation cell drawn over a film frame of an actor. However, several sequences do not use rotoscoping.
Yeah. Wow. Can we talk about the faces?
Yeah, let's talk about the face. Well, let me just get this one last bit of trivia.
Sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
A photo of Edward G. Robinson can be seen at one time.
Who?
Alright, that's the end of trivia.
Okay, cool.
What did you want to say? What do you want
Why
to talk
did
about?
they make Legolas's eyes like that? So scary.
I do not remember.
What? Legolas's eyes? How they're like big, like I don't know, man. They were so scary.
There'll be a picture on the screen.
Please, yeah, for the audience.
For the audience, for
Just
the listener.
look deep into those eyes and tell me that isn't terrifying. And also, all of the facial expressions were so off. Not a single facial expression actually conveyed an emotion. It was always just like the freakiest little screwed up face or like...
Yeah. They really...
I don't even know.
Poor Sam. He was a real uggo.
Yeah. What the hell? Sam's my favourite character, apart from Tom Bombadil. But, yeah, they really...
Aragorn.
Stop cool.
So, what I think happened with Aragorn was, they were like, what's a regular man from the 1970s? What does he look like?
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
So true. And then they put him in a little skirt.
It looked lovely. He was played by John Hurt.
Who?
He was played by John Hurt. John Hurt. He played the War Doctor from Doctor Who.
That old guy.
The old guy, yeah. He was the guy in Alien who had the alien burst out of his chest.
Oh, that guy. Hey.
All right, we're moving on to our final thoughts. Any final thoughts for the movie?
I think they should try again. I think it would work this time.
Well, they made that animated Lord of the Rings movie, the anime, last year, didn't they?
What? I didn't know about this.
Apparently, it's all right.
Oh wow! I was about to say like they should get Studio Ghibli or something to do it because that would be awesome. Can you imagine?
Oh. Yeah, they did a little Star Wars short a few years ago with Baby Yoda in it.
No way.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Ghibli
it.
did.
They did. It's on Disney Plus.
Wow,
It's about 3 minutes long.
Yeah. I think final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Yeah, don't watch it. It was kind of awful. But there was a couple of scenes that I was genuinely cackling, like were the funniest thing ever. But I don't know if they were supposed to be.
I like when Gandalf was trying to open the door and everyone was just sort of waiting. When he was trying to open the door and he just kept saying that spell, everybody was like, he'll get it eventually.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was really funny. And the bit where, like, Gandalf's just such an asshole in this movie. He's just a resounding asshole.
I didn't get that.
You know? He's just so mean to everyone. Like, he never says one nice thing. He's always just yelling at people. And then near the start, where he just, like, is freaking out fucking Samwise for no reason. He's just going like, "Bruh," in Samwise's face.
Did he do that?
Remember that bit?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he did that. It was just, like, really subtle. I don't know why they even included that bit. It made me laugh so much.
I'll admit to you, from the 40-minute mark to the hour and 25-minute mark, I was editing our last video instead of watching the movie. I just had it on in the background.
Yeah.
Because it was it was so hard to get through.
It was so hard to get through. I was so over it in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it kept going.
Well,
Yeah. Well, the voice acting was pretty awful, I have to admit.
very wooden.
I think very wooden and also just not consistent in tone at all. Like, you had Samwise being like almost trying to be comic relief or something. And then also Aragorn just trying to play like entirely straight. I don't know. It just felt like people had got very different ideas of what the movie was going to be when they were doing the voice acting.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Great movie, 10 out of 10.
that brings us to the end of the show. I've been David Daniel.
I've been Bingo Jones.
And I will be suing you in federal court.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye-bye. Love you.